Hello, friends, and welcome to Empower You 2 podcast. I'm your host, Natasha Paris, and I'm excited because you are in the building with me. You can be anywhere in the world, but you have chosen to be here with me, and I am so humbled and appreciative. Let me tell you about this show. Each and every single week, we continue to empower you to greatness that is truly going to help you, whether you are a person that have experienced a heartbreak, have gone through a divorce, or have endured levels of trauma of any kind, or you're just a person trying to rebuild their life and themselves, and now you are finally ready to live a life full of abundance, joy, and peace, then this show is for you. So with that said, thank you again for being here. I am extremely grateful. I'm excited to be on this journey with you because together we are empowered for greatness. You ready? Let's go. Hey, my friends. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to come before you today. I'm your host, Natasha Paris, the empowerment strategist, and I am so excited to really talk about some good stuff today. We've been talking about some good stuff anyways, but my goal is to empower you to become the best version of yourself. Because when you live this life, it is ups and there are downs, and there are things that cause us distress. There are things that make us joyful. Because you know what I said, like in the episode 1, I like the word joy rather than saying I want happiness. And so my goal is to make sure and ensure that you have all of the tools, all of the skill sets in order to find joy in the midst of difficulties, because life is difficult and it's inevitable that it will be difficult. So you got to just have your tool set and be ready to intentionally and purposefully be that person that says, I am going to find joy and I'm going to be joyful. So let's get into episode 6. Yes, we are at number 6. Super excited about that. And episode 6 is entitled Become Your Own Superhero. Da 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 da, da 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 da. Become your own superhero. Why is it that we should become our own superhero? Because of a number of reasons. We are tired. Well, I can say I used to be that way. We are tired and sometimes very exhausted helping so many people, especially if you are a parent or a friend or a family friend or just anybody, right? If you have a caring heart, you're going to help lots of people. And oftentimes people who have this genetic makeup of wanting to help others, tend to be very exhausted often. And I'm going to say that again. They tend to be very exhausted often, and they wonder why they're so tired. They have high levels of fatigue, and they can also have levels of anxiety as well. And so why is it that we need to become our own superhero? Da 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 da, da 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 da. And what I mean when I said da 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 da, it's when you put your hands, your fists to your hip, and you have them extended, and you have your poise, your back is straight and your head is up, and you have your chest poked out. It means that you are ready for some action. You're ready for someone to come and hurt those you love, or you're ready for someone to say things that mean other people harm. But oftentimes we are in this place where we are given so much to the point of exhaustion, to the point of stress, to the point of mental illness or physical illness. And so why did I choose this topic? Because of the fact I have so many people who walk into my office who say, I'm fatigued and I have trouble sleeping. And when I get down to the bottom and I start asking those really pertinent questions, I find that they are helping so many people. For example, there was this wonderfully beautiful soul that came into my office. She was a woman that was of the beautiful young age of 68 years old. And she came into my office because her temper had gotten to a place where she was on the verge of losing her job. And she wanted help because they said, if you don't get help, you're about to lose your job. So, yeah, it was something that she needed to do ASAP. And she came into my office, and why I say she had a beautiful soul, because I can see her. I saw what was going on, and I totally understood where she was coming from. She shared that she had taken care of course, not only her two children and husband, but her grandchildren, yes, who were having difficulties. And the reason why she was caring for her grandchildren was because one of her children who had the grandchildren was currently addicted. And she was not in a place to care for her own children. So she had, at 68, she had a 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. Yeah. Talk about being able to run behind them, right? And she had had them since they were very young. And I believe the 8-year-old since he was 4, and then the 6-year-old since she was like infant, possibly maybe a couple of months. And she was also caring for her ill husband who had been dealing with concerns of his kidney, and he was having dialysis and things of that nature. In addition, she was working a very high strung position, and she had to supervise other people. And in all of that, she did not have time for herself. And she found herself getting very angry pretty quickly. She was easily agitated. She was exhausted. In addition to that, she was having some GI concerns, which is gastroenterologist. Well, I'm saying enterologist, but like gastro stuff around the stomach, right? Digestive issues. She was having that. And she was also having difficulty sleeping because her mind was constantly racing. And she just didn't know what to do. And so immediately I said to her, you are everyone's superhero, but are you your own superhero? And she tilted her head to the side and she shook her head no, and she began to cry because automatically she knew exactly what I was talking about. She had not committed any time to herself because she was caring for an ill husband. She was caring for her grandchildren. She was also dealing with her daughter's addiction. She was also working so hard, supporting other people at work, that she had no time for herself. How many of us are like that? If you're listening to this podcast, empower you too. Let's talk about it. I want you to take some notes because I want you to understand that becoming your own superhero is not a selfish thing one bit, right? Because there's this stigma attached to the word selfishness, right? The word selfishness is attached to, oh my goodness, you don't care about anyone else, you only care about yourself. But there are moments in our lives where we have to decide that we're going to be selfish with our time, with our energy, because our life depends on it. I'm going to say that again, my friends. Yours, life depends on it. Let's talk about why you should be your own superhero. Da 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 da, da 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 da. Yeah, you're going to hear me saying that pretty often. It's because you are worthy, my friends. I've already said that your life depends on it. You are worthy of so much more, and you are worthy to be cared for. And the reason why I say being your own superhero is what we know for sure is that God is truly our superhero. We cannot go into this life fighting these crazy, insurmountable fights and battles without God by our side, right? We know that. We understand that. But one thing's for sure is that if you don't understand the power that lives within you, right? The good book says, greater is he that lives in you than he that lives in the world. And if you don't understand that you are powerful and that you are worthy of all these great, amazing things, you will fall victim to caring for everyone else and not caring for yourself. And so, why is it important? Because, like I said, you are worthy. You are worthy of being cared for. You are worthy of receiving all of the great things that this life can offer. In addition, right, why else are you worthy? Because God said so in Psalms 139, 13, 14. For you formed my inner parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. God says it. He says it in the good book that you are wonderfully and fearfully made. Third reason is that you cannot, let's talk about it. You cannot pour into someone else's cup, right? That's that metaphor or that saying. You cannot pour into someone else's cup if your cup is empty. Let's say that again. You cannot pour into someone else's cup when your cup is empty. How can you help others when you are at E? You are empty, right? You are E and empty. Come on now. You can't do it because you will be overextending yourself. And so it is so important, my friends, for you to understand that you are worthy. God said it, and you can't pour into anyone else's cup unless you pour into yours. And, oftentimes the question is often asked, how do I do that? Right? In the case of the woman that came into my office who said she's just exhausted, right? She's exhausted. And she's like, well, if I don't do it, who will? Who's going to care for my grandchildren? Who's going to care for my husband who I'm devoted to and I've been married to him for over 30 years? Who's going to do it if not me? And I said to her, and I'm going to say to many of you who are in that same position, is that yes, I understand that you feel like there's nothing else that you can do, right? In other words, if you don't do it, no one else will do it. So I understand that. However, there has to be a balance. Oftentimes, we're tilting more on the side of everyone else's to the point where we don't receive any of those things that we need for ourselves in order for us to continue moving. And let's talk about it. Using myself as an example, as a therapist for the past 24 years, people often ask me, how do you do it? How do you do it? For so many years, people are sharing information with you. And what I've come to realize is, yes, I have heard it all, seen it all in many regards. And how am I not impacted by it? Well, how am I not impacted is because I make sure that my cup is overflowing, my friends, that I make sure that I'm constantly, intentionally, purposefully pouring into myself. I don't see clients, I don't meet with students until after 10 o'clock, but I get up at 5. So, what is it that I do from 5 to 10? Let's break it down for you. I'm going to break it down for you. When I get up, I lay in bed for maybe about 15 minutes and just get myself together. And then After that, I get up, I prop up, and I begin to be grateful. And I begin to say, thank you, God, for just another day, right? And I meditate. I read my word. I read my daily devotions, and I get something for that day, right? The beginning of that day. I don't go on social media, right? I really don't. I used to because, yeah, of course, you want to turn over and look at your phone and and just open up your social media account and see what messages you have. But I found that when I did that, I found myself really a little like unstable in regards to like I'm not starting off my day right, because if I watch something that's a bit violent, it's going to be in my spirit. And for those who don't know, the first 20 to 30 minutes when you wake up is so impactful. There's studies that talk about it, how the mind is so receptive and so open when you first get up. And what you put into your spirit first thing in the morning is what is going to set the tone for the rest of the day. So I am very intentional about my mornings. So after I've done my daily devotions, and then I get up and I stretch. I stretch, and then I head to the gym. Okay. I'm in the gym for about 30 to 45, sometimes an hour. And then I come home and I do my protein shake. Like I'm doing all of this for me. I'm doing all of this for me. And then, I quickly, after I do that, I quickly get into the shower and then I put on my face. Oh, yes, I beat my face. I remember when I had my children and I vowed that I was not going to look haggard after having children. And I remember having, my son, and then after that, having my daughter 4 years later. I was intentional about getting up in the morning before my children woke up. And I made sure that I did exactly what I just described to you, but I made sure that I put that face on because that made me feel good. And people would say, geez, you look great for being, a mom. I will always get that. That's a whole nother topic. You look great for being a mom. To all our moms, you can still look amazing after having children. Okay. You can still look amazing. And that is all by intention. So the first thing, right? Oftentimes it's said, what do you do? If you know you have things to do, how do you pour into yourself? And I just gave you a quick regimen of what I do, but let me give you some pointers. Okay. The first thing is make a decision to put yourself first. I'm going to say that again. Make a decision to put yourself first. If you do not do that, life is going to take you and sweep you away, and you will find yourself at the mercy of everyone else. So you have to be intentional. That means if you have to get up a little bit earlier to beat that phase or to work out or to have a decent breakfast, then you do that. Okay? Be intentional and make a decision that you are going to do that. The second, write down what is a priority for you. This goes into, look, I'm giving you not mine, but your empowerment assignment to do, okay? Because the last couple of episodes, I've been giving you empowerment and assignments, very much like a homework assignment, but I love the word empowerment because I'm an empowerment strategist and it's called Empower You Too, right? Yeah, right. So the empowerment assignment, right? I want you to write down a list of things that are a priority, a list of things that are a priority. And I'm going to task you to put it into 5 categories. The first category is mental health, right? 2 things that you want when it comes to mental health, right? For example, it could be, I'm going to put myself first, right? Because I need to receive that for me, right? I'm going to protect my peace, right? I'm not going to allow toxic people into my circle, okay? Second category is physical health. Evaluate your physical health. Are you sleeping? Are you getting enough sleep? How often are you working out? And that's a whole nother episode because I'm going to talk about it. Physical health is extremely important, and that includes nutrition, right? Not only going to the gym, not only stretching, not only drinking water, but also, what are you putting into your body? Because I am big on that, right? You know, my kids laugh at me because they're like, Mom, you can't eat this, you can't eat that. Yeah, because I have a sensitive stomach. But also, I'm very in tune with my body and I know what certain foods do to my body, right? For example, like I'm allergic to corn. I didn't know that, but I'm allergic to corn. So anything that has corn in it, it causes my scalp to be inflamed. I start to have a little bit of itching, but mostly my scalp is inflamed. And then also, in addition to that, I have my arthritis in my big toe. That's a whole nother story, my friends. It gets like inflamed, right? So corn is what does that. And so me being in tune with my body, I was like, I know there has to be something that I'm entering into that I'm putting into my body that's causing a consequence or a symptom or a side effect. So physical health is super important. So create a plan of two things that you want within your physical health. Third is spirituality. That's the third category for you. Write down two things that you want to prioritize in your spiritual life, whether it's getting closer to God, whether it is praying more, whether it is meditating for 10 minutes a day, right? The other category, fourth category, is finances. What do you want your money to look like? If your money's a little funny, if it's a little funny, what do you need to do to change that? Do you need to take some online classes to learn how to budget, right? Do you need to save more? Do you need to invest more? The last fifth category, I mean, I have tons of categories, but I'm going to stick to five, right? I want you to write two things that you want within those categories. And the last category is leisure. What do you want to do, my friends, that you've always wanted to do? Have you wanted to ride on a camel, right? It could be that extravagant, or jumping out of a plane, or for me, learning how to swim. Yeah, right? Or traveling. Where do you want to travel to, my friends? Think about it. Where do you want to travel to? Do you want to travel to South Africa? Do you want to, be at a fashion show, right? In Paris? Come on now. Write down things that you want to do in this lifetime and don't call it a bucket list. Get rid of that. Get rid of that terminology in your vocabulary. It's not called a bucket list. It's called a life list. Things you want to do in this life, not when you're about to hit the bucket. No, life, right? So this is the start of writing a life list. Okay. So in addition to making a decision, in addition to writing things down within categories that are a priority, third is I want you to affirm what it is that you want. Affirm it. And that means literally saying, once you've written down what you want, then I want you to recite it to yourself. Recite it to yourself, affirming it. Now you've written it down. I want you to say it out loud, right? Say it out loud to yourself. Affirm that you want to travel. Affirm that and watch how you say it. Don't say I want to. Say I will or I am traveling, right? It's how you say it that makes it become a reality. Then the last is then just do it, my friends. It's so important that you make a decision to do what it is that you want for your life. Because if you don't prioritize your life, my friends, you're in for a treat. You are in for a treat. You will be like the feather that was dropped from the third-story window. Wherever the feather lands, it is where it lands. And wherever the wind blows is where that feather lands. And if it lands in a pile of dog poop, that's where it lands. So It is so important for you to make a decision to do something for you. And it could be as simple as I'm going to go and take myself to a spa, right? I'm going to treat myself to dinner and sit and eat as opposed to eating and rushing and hurrying up to get to a location and eating in your car, right? Sitting down and eating a dinner, right? Or just walking and allowing yourself to walk and giving you that space to meditate and self reflect. My friends, it is so important for you to make the decision to do you and be the superhero, in your own story. Because if you are not the superhero in your own story with God by your side, you will be the extra in your story. I'm going to say that again. You will be the extra in your movie of life, right? You will be the extra, or you will be the person that nobody remembers. I want you to be the superhero. I want you to make a decision to do you. So, with that said, let's quickly summarize, right? Why becoming a superhero of your own story or becoming the superhero is so important, because your life depends on it, because you are worthy. God said it. God said it, okay? In addition, you cannot pour into someone else's cup if you are empty. And so it's important for you to have your cup overflowing so you can have enough to give to others. And how do you do that, my friends? Make a decision. Make a decision today. Make a decision today that you will put yourself first. And remember, being selfish is not a derogatory term. It's not a curse word, right? It's not a demeaning word. It's a word that you should embrace, right? Everything in moderation. Second, write it down. Write it down. Write down what are priorities for you. And as I said, your empowerment assignment is to write it down in 5 categories, 2 priorities in each category. And the first category is mental health. Second is physical health. Third is spirituality. Fourth is finances. And fifth is leisure. Write down what you want to happen in your life. Okay. In addition, my friends, I want you to affirm it. I want you to say it out loud to yourself. And in addition to writing it down, I want you to, as an affirmation, or I should say an empowerment assignment, is I want you to say it to yourself. In those 5 categories, 2 per, say it to yourself once a day, right? When you wake up in the morning, have your list right next to your bed and say it to yourself. And then last, just do it, like Nike said. Just do it. Make yourself a priority. Because if you don't, you will have to bear the burden of it. And so it is so important, my friends, for you to understand that you are worthy. God said it. And you can't pour into anyone else's cup unless you pour into yours. You will fall victim to whatever life throws at you. Because remember, life has pain, and it's inevitable that you will have trials and tribulations, but you need the skill sets in order to do so, and you need to make yourself a priority so you can pour into other people's cups, because yours is overflowing and you have some to give. So now, my friends, if this episode resonated with you and it really had you thinking and you were invested in this episode, I want you to go to your podcast, go to this podcast on Spotify or Apple or wherever you're listening to. And I want you to hit the 5 stars. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear the feedback. How has this helped you? How has this resonated for you? Okay. And I want you to, in addition to that, I want you to share this with at least 3 people who you believe could benefit. And I'm going to say this. I don't want to say who you can believe will benefit. Why? Because a lot of people are wearing masks. They're smiling on the outside. And when you ask them how they're doing, they say, I'm perfect. I'm fine. I'm okay. But they're going home and they're crying. So just share it. Just share it. Just share it. It gets the message out that you can be your own superhero. So with that said, guys, I am so excited to have been your host today. And I want you to be empowered for greatness. Take care. Bye. If you are loving this content and our time together as we become empowered for greatness and you want to connect with me more, I would love for you to come and check out my Self-Empowerment Scholars. It's my monthly empowerment sessions where we take all of the materials learned on the podcast and apply it and study it and take it to the next level. So join me over at Empower You, the letter U, 2, right? The number 2.com/join, or you can text the word empower to 571-464-6511. That's text the word empower to 571-464-6511. Also, if you've ever gained an ounce of wisdom or the episode resonated with you, I simply ask that you do 4 things. The first is I want you to subscribe right now if you have not done so already. The second is I want you to hit that 5-star button on your favorite platform. The third is I want to hear from you. I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear how it has resonated for you. In addition, the last, I want you to share this message with someone. It allows us to spread the message of empowerment to those who are desperately in need. So I look forward to seeing you on the next episode, and I want you to be what? Empowered for greatness. See you soon. Bye.